Good morning, everyone. Fivehead here. Wanted to talk about why I agree with the SAVE Act and why I disagree with the SAVE Act. First, here's why I agree with the SAVE Act. And no, this is not going to stop millions of women from being able to place a vote in federal elections. Right now, if you change your name, man, woman, anything, you legally change your name and you need to go get a new ID, you have to bring your birth certificate to show what your original name is, and then you have to bring that court document showing what it's changed to. It's no different in this situation. It's not like Gavin Newsom in California is going to say, well, they passed the SAVE Act, so it looks like we can't let women who have been married vote, right? And the SAVE Act has that built into it. If you actually look into it, the SAVE Act actually leaves it up to the states to develop a process for how they verify with the name change, the same way the states do now for any kind of government ID that they're issuing you. So no, that's just rhetoric and fear mongering. We could throw that out the window now. But here's why I agree with the SAVE Act. So at least since 2016, everyone on both sides now has had some sort of thought that there's been some sort of manipulation or cheating in the federal election. And one of those worries is that people who are not eligible to vote, so U.S. citizens, have been voting in our federal elections. So the SAVE Act is simply trying to stop that from happening. It's trying to work towards making sure that the people voting in federal elections are eligible to vote. And on one hand, there's nothing wrong with always making sure of the integrity of our elections, doing what you can to make sure outliers and stuff become less and less and less, so that more people trust the election and the results. Here's why I disagree with the SAVE Act. And it's a matter of principle. We have a constitution. The Constitution already spells out clear as day that only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in our federal elections. The Constitution also says that it's up to the states to choose the manner of which the people of that state will vote. Basically, the states run federal elections, not the federal government. So in principle, I don't agree with the federal government passing legislation trying to control something that the Constitution says is something the states control. The federal government's job here is to make sure the states are not violating the Constitution as they conduct their elections. So then how do we enforce it? How does the federal government make sure the states are not violating election laws? Well, when an election happens and someone feels like people who are ineligible to place a vote are voting in federal elections, they file a lawsuit. It gets investigated, audited, etc. And if that can't be done by the time you certify elections on January 6th in Congress, there's a mechanism for Congress to not certify a particular state's election results. It's never happened before. There have been challenges, but there's never been a time that I can remember, at least in my lifetime, where individual states' election results were discluded from the electoral count in Congress on January 6th. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. If Congress truly feels like this state did not follow the Constitution when conducting the election, they could not certify that particular state. So I believe the government's job is to make sure the states are following the Constitution. That's why I don't agree with the SAVE Act. It's almost redundant. Instead, develop a way to make sure states are not already violating the rule that says only U.S. citizens can vote in federal elections. But I do agree with the sentiment that states need to make sure that their laws are enforced in a way that only U.S. citizens are voting in federal elections. Anyway, that's why I agree with and don't agree with the SAVE Act. So, love to hear your thoughts on it. Comment below and have a happy Tuesday.